What would you sacrifice to know the truth? As I stood in the midst of the sprawling expanse of the Orion Nebula, the question echoed through my mind, a haunting refrain that would intertwine with every decision I made. The vastness of deep space was both a sanctuary and a prison, a place where humanity's most horrifying ambitions collided with the fragility of our existence. I was Dr. Evelyn Harper, a researcher with the Deep Space Exploration Initiative, stationed in the remote outpost of New Haven, nestled within the jagged cliffs of Mars's Valles Marineris. Here, I had dedicated my life to unraveling the mysteries of the universe, yet I found myself entangled in something far more sinister than I had ever anticipated. New Haven was a cold, unforgiving place, its sterile corridors filled with the hum of machinery and the flicker of outdated monitors. The air was thick with the scent of recycled oxygen, a constant reminder of our isolation. Each day, I would gaze out at the crimson horizon, wondering if the secrets of the cosmos were worth the price we were paying. The project I was involved in was shrouded in secrecy, an endeavor that sought to harness the very fabric of space and time. My colleagues, Dr. Marcus Chen, a brilliant physicist, and Sarah Patel, a gifted engineer, shared my ambition, yet we all carried unseen burdens. Each of us had our own dark pasts that whispered to us in the quiet hours of the Martian night. It was on the evening of the winter solstice that the first signs of conflict emerged. As I adjusted the settings on the quantum resonator, a device designed to manipulate temporal dimensions, a strange distortion flickered on the monitor. My heart raced as I watched the data fluctuate wildly, a chaotic dance of numbers and symbols that hinted at something far beyond our comprehension. "Evelyn, are you seeing this?" Marcus's voice broke through my thoughts, laced with a mix of awe and unease. I nodded, my eyes glued to the screen, a chill creeping up my spine. The resonance was increasing, creating waves that pulsed like a heartbeat we had unwittingly awakened. The environment around us took on a life of its own, reflecting our growing turmoil. The walls of New Haven seemed to constrict, the shadows deepening, as if they were closing in on us. I could almost sense the weight of the universe pressing down, as if it were aware of our transgressions. The once familiar hum of machinery morphed into a low, mournful sound, echoing our fear and uncertainty. I felt a connection to this place, a bond forged in desperation, yet it was becoming increasingly suffocating. But it wasn't just the project that haunted me, it was my past. Years ago, I had lost my brother Alex to a tragic accident that I had convinced myself was a mere coincidence. Guilt had become my constant companion, a relentless specter that followed me into every lab and lecture. I had buried those memories deep, but they resurfaced with every flicker of the quantum resonator, intertwining my guilt with the shadows of our research. What if the truth I sought was not one I could bear to face as the tension mounted and the data continued? To spiral out of control, I could feel the ground beneath me shifting, both literally and metaphorically. I was on the precipice of a discovery that could alter the course of humanity, but at what cost? But when night fell, something inexplicable happened. As the Martian night enveloped New Haven in its shroud of darkness, I found myself standing before the quantum resonator, my pulse quickening with every heartbeat. The air crackled with tension, and the flickering lights cast eerie shadows that seemed to dance around me, taunting me with the specters of my past. I had dedicated my life to unearthing the secrets of the universe, but now I feared I was standing on the edge of something far more dangerous than I had ever anticipated. "Evelyn, we need to shut it down." Sarah's voice sliced through the oppressive silence, her eyes wide with panic. I turned to her, seeing the fear mirrored in her expression. The resonance had become erratic, pulsating with an energy that felt alive, almost sentient. I could see it in the way the monitors flickered, an ominous heartbeat, echoing a warning We were too stubborn to heed. "Just a little longer," I whispered, my voice barely audible over the low hum of the machine. I was caught in a web of ambition and guilt, the same guilt that had driven me to push boundaries I once believed were sacred. But this wasn't just about the project anymore. It was about facing the ghosts I had buried. Marcus stepped closer, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Evelyn, we're on the brink of something extraordinary, but we need to tread carefully. What if the resonance is a signal? Something is trying to communicate with us." The intensity of his gaze made me shiver. He had always been the rational one, the anchor in our chaotic environment, but now I saw the flicker of obsession in his eyes. "Or it could be a warning," Sarah interjected, shaking her head. "You both are so focused on the potential that you're ignoring the risks. We've already lost so much." Her voice trembled, and I could see the shadows of her own past lurking behind her resolve. Sarah had joined the initiative to escape her own demons, having lost her family in a tragic accident that still haunted her dreams. I understood her struggle all too well. We were all running from something. "Let's not succumb to fear," I said, trying to maintain my composure. But deep within, I felt the ground shifting under my feet. The dream of unlocking the universe's mysteries was slipping through my fingers, and I was terrified of what lay beyond. Suddenly, the monitors erupted in a cascade of colors, the sound rising to a deafening crescendo. I stumbled back, my heart racing as I felt the walls around us vibrate with an ominous energy. "What the hell is happening?" I shouted, my voice rising above the chaos. "Something's wrong. The energy levels are off the charts." Marcus yelled, his fingers flying over the controls, desperately trying to regain control. I could sense his frustration, the desperation that mirrored my own. We were losing our grip on the very thing that had captivated us. Then, as if in response to our fear, the room darkened, plunging us into near-complete blackness. A voice echoed, a low rumble that reverberated through my bones. "Who dares to disturb the fabric of time?" I froze, the weight of dread settling over me like a heavy cloak. The voice was malevolent, ancient, and I could feel its power pressing against my mind. Suddenly, the very foundation of our research felt like a Pandora's box, and we were the unwitting fools who had opened it. "Evelyn, we need to get out of here," Sarah screamed, her eyes wide with terror, but it was too late. The quantum resonator ignited with blinding light, and I knew in that moment that our lives, and perhaps the fate of humanity, were about to change irrevocably. As the light enveloped us, I grappled with the question that had haunted me from the beginning. What would I sacrifice to know the truth? It was a question that would soon demand an answer far more profound than I had ever imagined. With the shadows of my past looming ever closer, I felt the first tremors of the great unraveling begin. The revelation was coming, and I was no longer certain I wanted to face it. As the blinding light engulfed us, a cacophony of sensations erupted within my mind. Memories, long buried and festering, surged to the surface like a tidal wave, threatening to drown me. I was no longer just Evelyn, the scientist obsessed with unraveling the universe's secrets. I was a vessel filled with the weight of my past mistakes and regrets. "Evelyn!" Sarah's voice echoed through the chaos, pulling me back from the brink of my spiraling thoughts. "Hold on to something!" I reached out instinctively, grasping a nearby railing as the room twisted violently around us. The quantum resonator pulsed like a heartbeat, each thrum resonating with the echoes of my life, a life littered with choices that had led me here. But then, something unexpected happened. The light began to shift, revealing fleeting images within, its brilliance. Faces I hadn't seen in years flickered before me. My father, his stern expression etched into my memory. My mother, her gentle smile, a stark contrast to the way I had abandoned them both to chase dreams of grandeur. I recoiled, feeling the sharp sting of guilt wrap around my heart like a vice. They had sacrificed so much for me, and I had left them behind in my pursuit of knowledge. "Evelyn, focus!" Marcus's voice broke through the haze. His eyes, usually steadfast and calm, were now filled with a frantic urgency that sent a shiver down my spine. "What's happening? Talk to me!" I tried to articulate my fears, but instead the words tumbled out in a rush. I didn't save them. I didn't even say goodbye. I thought I could change the world, but all I did was ruin everything. The admission hung in the air, heavy with the weight of my unacknowledged grief. Suddenly, a piercing scream erupted from Sarah, pulling my attention back to the now shimmering light. Swirling within the luminescence, I glimpsed a figure, an ethereal being, its features obscured, but a deep sadness emanating from its presence. It felt familiar, yet utterly foreign. "What are you?" I whispered, my voice trembling. "Your past," it responded, the voice echoing like thunder. "You called me forth with your ambition, and I am here to remind you of the cost." "Cost?" My heart raced. "What do you mean?" "Every choice has a consequence," it said, the sorrow in its tone deepening. "You sought to transcend the limits of time and space, but in doing so, you've awoken the very fabric that binds reality together. You are not the only one. With ghosts, Evelyn, others have suffered because of your pursuit." The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. My journey had not just been about my own ambitions, it had ripple effects I had never considered. I looked over at Sarah and Marcus, their faces pale, their own struggles now laid bare in their expressions. "Evelyn, Sarah began, her voice cracking, revealing a vulnerability I had never seen before. "I lost my family because I thought I could control fate. I thought I could save them, but I was wrong." Marcus, eyes wide, added, "We all have our burdens. We thought we could change the world, but what if we've just opened a door to chaos?" As the realization settled over us, I understood that the quantum resonator was not merely a machine. It was a mirror reflecting our deepest fears and regrets. The conflict was no longer just about our research. It was about facing the ghosts we had tried to escape, our pasts colliding in a way I had never anticipated. "Then, what do we do?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Together," Sarah said, taking a step forward. "We face it together." The room began to tremble, and the light intensified, threatening to consume us whole. I felt the weight of my past pressing in on me, and I realized that if we were to survive, we would have to confront not only the consequences of our actions, but also the truths we had long buried. With the specter of our pasts looming large, I braced myself for the unraveling that was about to unfold. The journey ahead was fraught with danger, but it was a path I had to take. The truth was calling, and I could no longer ignore it. The light swirled around us, a tempest of emotion and memory, each pulse of the quantum resonator echoing like the throbbing of a wounded heart. My breath came in ragged gasps as I faced the ethereal being, its presence an amalgamation of my guilt and regret. "What do you want from me?" I shouted, my voice barely breaking through the rising storm of energy that threatened to tear us apart. "Face the truth," it intoned, its voice slicing through the chaos. "You must confront what you have created, what you have lost." My heart raced as I turned to Sarah and Marcus. What if facing it means losing everything? I could see the flicker of doubt in their eyes, but there was also a glimmer of determination. We had come too far to turn back now. "Evelyn," Sarah said, stepping closer, her voice steady despite the turmoil around us. "We've all lost something, but if we don't confront it, we'll lose ourselves too. You taught us that knowledge is power. Now we need that power to confront our past." Marcus nodded, his expression resolute. "We can't let this entity dictate our fate. We have to stand together, face our fears, and take back control." A surge of energy pulsed through me, igniting a fire in my gut. "You're right. I can't let this thing control us. We're more than our regrets." I clenched my fists, the weight of my past still heavy, but the thought of my friends beside me gave me strength. With renewed purpose, I stepped forward, the light intensifying in response to my resolve. "You want to confront my past? Fine, I'll face it, but I won't do it alone." The spectral figure shimmered, its sadness deepening. "You cannot escape your choices, Evelyn. They will always follow you. Then, let them, I shouted. I will own my past, but I refuse to let it define my future. As I spoke, the air crackled with energy, the light shifting and pulsating, revealing the faces of those I had lost. My father's stern gaze met mine, and I felt the weight of his disappointment. My mother's soft smile flickered, a reminder of the love I had taken for granted. The pain of their absence washed over me, but I refused to be paralyzed by guilt. Evelyn, don't, Sarah cried out, sensing my struggle. You can't let the past consume you. I won't, I exclaimed as the light surged violently, threatening to engulf us. In that moment, I felt the presence of my friends beside me, their determination bolstering my own. Together, Marcus shouted, reaching out to grasp both of my hands. Sarah followed suit, her grip firm and reassuring. The energy swirled around us, a tempest of chaos and clarity. We will face it together, I declared, my voice cutting through the tumult. As the light reached a blinding peak, I closed my eyes, surrendering to the tumult within. The truth was here, waiting to be confronted, and I would not back down. The outcome hinged on our unity, and the time had come to embrace the very essence of who we were, flawed but resolute, ready to face whatever lay ahead. And with that, we stood together, prepared to unravel the very fabric of our intertwined destinies. The blinding light enveloped us, a kaleidoscope of pain and healing, and I felt the weight of my memories crash over me like a tidal wave. My heart raced and I gritted my teeth as the image of my father morphed into something more tangible, a physical representation of my guilt. You think you can just confront me? He thundered, his voice echoing in the void. You've wasted your potential, Evelyn. No, I shouted back, feeling the heat of his disappointment wash over me. I've made choices, yes, but I've learned. I won't be ashamed anymore. The tempest of light swirled around us, the energy pulsating with every word. Sarah's grip tightened on my hand, her eyes wide with fear, yet shimmering with unwavering strength. You have to let go of the past, Evelyn. It's not too late. Suddenly, the energy condensed, and for a moment I felt weightless, suspended in time. The faces of my loved ones shifted, my mother's encouraging smile, Marcus's unwavering loyalty, and Sarah's fierce determination. They were my anchors, grounding me in this whirlwind of emotion. But the confrontation with my past was not without consequence. I felt a sharp pain in my chest, like a shard of glass lodged deep within. I gasped, but the sensation morphed into clarity, a realization that this pain was not just physical. It was the price of my reckoning, an emotional scar that would remain long after this moment faded. As the light finally began to dim, I felt myself pulled back into reality. The ethereal being, once a tempest of chaos, now took on a gentler form. You have faced your truth, but the echoes of your choices will linger. Embrace them, but do not let them consume you. I opened my eyes, the room now bathed in a soft glow. The quantum resonator hummed quietly, its purpose fulfilled, yet I felt the weight of unfinished business. What happens now? I breathed, glancing at Sarah and Marcus, who looked equally bewildered. Your journey has just begun, the being replied softly, before dissipating into shimmering particles. As the last remnants of light faded, I realized that while we had controlled the chaos, the mysteries of the quantum resonator still lay unresolved. I could feel it pulsing gently, as if beckoning us to explore deeper truths. Sarah stepped forward, her brow furrowed. Evelyn, do you think there are more echoes out there, more memories tied to this device? Absolutely, I said, my mind racing. What other fragments of the past could we unearth? What other lives had been intertwined with ours? Marcus looked at me, an unspoken understanding passing between us. We're in this together, he said, and I felt a rush of gratitude. But as we stood there, still catching our breath, I couldn't shake the feeling that our confrontation had only scratched the surface. The scars we bore were reminders of battles fought, but also of battles yet to come. and as we stepped away from the remnants of our confrontation, a faint shimmer caught my eye, a glint of something hidden within the shadows of the room. My heart raced as I approached it, a new mystery waiting to be uncovered, a call to adventure that echoed within me. "Let's find out what else is out there," I whispered, determination bubbling within me. The adventure was far from over. It was only just beginning. As I reached for the glimmering object in the shadows, a shiver of anticipation coursed through me. The room was still, the remnants of our confrontation hanging in the air like a lingering scent. But my heart was pounding with a mix of fear and exhilaration. What would we find next? What other echoes of the past were waiting to be uncovered? I hesitated, the glint catching the light, revealing a small, intricate key. Its design was unlike anything I had ever seen, filled with swirling patterns that seemed to pulse with energy. It was unmistakably connected to the quantum resonator, perhaps a gateway to more truths, or more pain. I glanced back at Sarah and Marcus, their faces reflecting the same mixture of curiosity and trepidation. "Do you think this is a way to unlock something else?" I asked, the key warm in my palm. It felt alive, as if it had a heartbeat of its own, echoing my own racing pulse. "Or it could lead us to deeper dangers," Marcus replied, his brow furrowed. "But we won't know unless we try." I nodded, knowing that the path ahead was uncertain. The weight of my past was still heavy, but the thrill of discovery ignited a flame within me. "Let's see where this leads," I said, taking a step forward, the key held tightly in my grasp. As we moved toward the quantum resonator, the air thickened with tension, and the light around us began to shimmer again, teasing at the possibilities that lay ahead. I felt the familiar pull of destiny, drawing us into the unknown. Would we uncover more of our pasts, or would we unleash something we couldn't control? The question lingered in the air as we stepped closer, the key poised at the threshold of potential. The energy crackled, and just before I could turn the key, an unsettling thought crossed my mind. What if we were not ready for what lay beyond? And just like that, I was left standing on the precipice of discovery, the choice lingering before us like a haunting whisper. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Share with your friends so they can also embark on this mystery-filled adventure. Leave a comment below telling us your favorite part or what kind of ending you'd like to see in a future story.